switch up. See me gearing up for war, don't get it mixed up. I come in peace, kid. I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in to get prepared now. We play on expert level, don't get scared now. I'ma destroy you on a Forza, I can tear down. If you ain't tuned into the channel, keep your head down. Cut the fix up. We some Xbox babies, put the switch up. See me gearing up for war, don't get it mixed up. I come in peace, kid. I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in to get prepared now. We play on expert level, don't get scared now. I'ma destroy you on a Forza, I can tear down. If you ain't tuned into the channel, keep your head down.
Let me see.
There we go. Yo, thank you everybody for joining us. We on the fix tonight. We got myself and we got my co-host Daniel McGee.
Hello, everybody.
So listen, just to make sure before anything goes wrong, I want to make sure our audio and everything is solid. If you guys could let me know that you can hear us both, that would be appreciated. Danny, if you could say a few things just to make sure that they hear you. I don't want us to be, wasting time.
Sure. Yeah, I'll just. So I started my new position. I'm boss now. I'm boss of team. And in my first shift as boss of team, I had to send one of my employees home because she was throwing up, and another one of my employees home because he was crying.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I'm killing it.
Nice. Nice. Okay, so they say they can hear you. Okay.
Basically, I'm the best boss ever.
Okay, yeah, perfect. And of course, we have my Chicago brother in a rainy day here in Chicago.
Yes, sir.
Post
Rain
up.
came out of nowhere.
It
What's
did,
good,
didn't it?
brother?
Yeah, it was good.
What's good? I got home just in time.
Yes, sir.
It was real good weather. Wasn't too cold outside. It felt really good.
Mm.
But the wind was super, super strong. Damn near knocked me off my feet.
Uh-oh.
Coming from downtown. And then a few minutes after I get out of the house, I'm seeing thunderstorms and lightning across. Like, what? What changed that fast? But we here, though. We here.
We here. Yeah, thank you. We appreciate you coming through, brother. I know we had the space the other day, and with this situation going on that we have going on in the community and everything like that, and uncertainty, and I had to have you come and, preach to the crowd tonight. So that was my thinking. Now,
Well,
yeah, we're supposed to have Tim Dog coming through, but he might be a bit behind. And just as a heads up to everybody in the chat, it's a possibility that he might not make it. Now, it's because of serious situation, obviously, with family and stuff. I'm not going to go further than that, but he has other things. It's more important than being here on the podcast, so that might be the case. And apologies if you all were looking forward to hearing from him. If he does not come through, I'm hoping he does. But don't be like, you lied to us if it doesn't, just so you all will know. So I guess I'll go back to it. I just want to make sure that they can hear you guys. But Danny, you said you're the boss now.
I'm the boss. It's me, big boss, solid boss man, solid boss snake, whatever. Doing great.
Solid.
So good.
yeah,
I've only had like two.
Flying around here.
Right.
I've only had like 2 shifts as boss. And I do think I'm doing pretty well, but I did have to send home multiple employees for unrelated barf and tears.
Oh, man. So as far as it goes with that, I'm guessing it's obviously it's a nice change of pace, time zone, time-wise, rather, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, so like, it seems like I'm mostly opening, which means I wake up very early, and then I'm actually, the last 2 days, I've been in the building for 3 hours before anyone else shows up, which has been both incredibly creepy and really nice, because I'm able to get so much done and just play my own music through the building's PA, and like, it doesn't matter. It's great. I kind of love it, actually, I think.
All All right, that's good, man. I'm glad things are working out much better for you and everything like that. And have you had a chance to game or anything, or what's been up with you?
Uh, not much. I've been continuing Baldur's Gate. It's the game that just will not end,
Yeah.
no matter how much I want it to.
Are they still offering you like sexual favors every time you see them, or?
No, I think I've turned down every humanoid in the game at this point, so there's no one left to try and slide into my DMs except the like 2 that I'm interested in. So that's all right.
What?
Yeah, it's a long story. It was really funny because in Act 3 there's a brothel, and I walked in and it was supposed to be like, oh, this is that seedy place where everyone goes to bang one out, and I was like, this is just my camp. This is just my camp every night. This is no different at all.
Man. Yeah, well, I understand. But me myself, what have I been playing? I'm playing a bunch of nothing. Really Power World, being honest. I have like one achievement left to get. So nothing too impressive on my end. But Post, what have you been up to, my brother? What have you been playing, or if you have had a chance to? I know you've been working.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to play. The last thing I played was Gears 5. I had finally went back to that and beat it, and realized that I was damn near at the end. I waited all this time to beat it, and I was only like a couple of chapters away from beating it, and didn't even realize. But yeah, a new job that's been taking up majority of the last couple of weeks, because you get in, you got to get acclimated to how things work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just secured a IT grant.
Nice.
So I'm gonna be going to back to school on a weekend to update the certifications I got back in the late 90s and the early 2000s when computers was just taking off. That ain't really usable no more. So I'm looking into cybersecurity, and then either getting my Microsoft certified engineer or my CCNA or CCNP. And so I'm gonna be, working during the week, going to classes on the weekend, and trying to fit podcasting in there somewhere. So that's what I've been on lately, man. Just trying to get to this bag, man.
I hear you. Oh, I mean, congrats on the new job and everything like that too. I remember you posting about it. So yeah, you downtown.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're not far from where I'm at over that way, by the way.
In big building, up floors.
Oh yeah, looking down.
Ain't no more Uber Eat jokes. Ain't no more come pick me up post up. Ain't no more live for Uber jokes. You can't Uber me up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't drive when you this high up in the air. You feel me?
I feel you.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. But I guess we'll get to the meat and potatoes of the whole discussion. And I might reach out to somebody else, see if I can get somebody else to jump in until Tim Dog can make it if he can't. But so I don't have to do much explaining. Everybody here in the chat, you all know what's been going on. The rumors have been rampant. I know the community itself has been all over the place. A lot of uncertainty. And it all started for us, at least, that I can speak to without going too far into anything, Friday for me. And I'm not going to even touch on that, but Sunday on my birthday is where it really hit. That was when the ish hit the fan right there.
Phil Spencer sends you a birthday present and was like, hey, sell your Xbox. You don't need that no more.
He's like, hey, get a PC. But so obviously the speculation about Xbox going third party had already hit. Or at least some games, right? We already started hearing about Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves appearing on PlayStation and Nintendo respectively. And obviously a lot of us were up in arms. We talked about it here, of course, that week. And so one of the thoughts we had were like, hey, Hi-Fi Rush is a single player IP. It doesn't need to be put on anything else, although I can see it making sense on Nintendo, sure. But keep your exclusives. Your exclusives is a well-regarded IP. You got a lot of accolades, and all of a sudden, here you go, PlayStation or Nintendo have our, unique game that did well. It felt like a bit of a betrayal, especially since we're not getting anything back on our end. Then you hear about Sea of Thieves. Now, the gas title makes more sense. I think we can all agree there. Like, especially an old gas title like Sea of Thieves. So that makes more sense to be multi-plat, right? And then Sunday hit. And then we started seeing stuff we're not supposed to see. We started seeing them talking about Starfield hitting PlayStation 5.
Huh?
Right. We started hearing about Indiana Jones hitting PlayStation 5.
Huh?
And then we started seeing Halo hitting PS5. Yeah. Too much. Now, the Halo part wasn't more than enough to send me over the top. At that point, I was kind of like, nah, this is not right. Now, again, it's just a bit of conditioning, right? Because we've been taught about this whole walled garden situation and exclusivity being the thing. And despite what people will tell you, exclusivity matters, right? Now, to the degree that if you're a PC player, maybe it matters less. But as far as console gamers, we've been taught and conditioned that exclusives matter because it's something that helps differentiate your platform and makes it unique. It makes it where people have to go. And also in Xbox's case, it's a thing where we're not going to have third-party support if they see that, well, what's the use of coming to that platform when even your games are everywhere else? I can go and play PlayStation and get all your games and their games. Then what's the use of me even bringing my game over to your platform? And that's where a lot of the problem comes for me. So obviously that happened. It was like a nuke that went off. And we have been seeing all types of reactions, be it from content creators to the community, to news reports. It's everywhere. And I've seen a lot of people in the community kind of turning against each other, biting each other's heads off, things of that nature. It's been real crazy out here, unfortunately. And I think is, I think we all need to calm down a bit. But I wanted to get your take, Post and Danny. But what to you was your reaction, Post, when you saw this news break, this alleged news break?
I didn't respond to it at first. I didn't make any tweets about it because I was unsure. I had to go behind the scene, hop into some DMs, and get some clarification on the matter. And so when it started to happen, I still didn't say none because me personally, a game like Sea of Thieves, which I've played, but I haven't put extensive time into, it really don't matter to me if it go there. I haven't invested any time into it. So if you want to spread that around, then go ahead. Why am I crying about a game that I haven't really invested? I played it, but I haven't invested time. And I think a lot of people in the Xbox community is doing that, crying about certain games they haven't invested in time into. But you got gamers out there that have invested time into it. I'm talking about the big guns. When I heard about Hi-Fi Rush and stuff like that, on Nintendo and stuff like that, I mean, people were saying that. Some people in the Xbox community were saying that when it first came out or when they first seen it, like that'd be dope if it was on the Switch, or that look like it's one of them titles that belong on the Switch. So when I heard Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush, I wasn't mad at all. Now you get the Starfield and Halo and Gears of what? Then you got to make that. I'm not going down with this ship. I'm finna hop right up. Not this time. I did it with the. Now look, what ABK did, I'm saying we gonna ride this thing till the wheels fall off.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're taking iconic IP like Halo, that your system, that defined your system, that defined a generation, that set the foundation for shooters, right? Mm-hmm. And you're trying to put that on a competition's platform. What?
Yeah.
What are we doing here? What's going on? You got some screws loose or something? Where's the competitiveness? Mm-hmm. Huh? And so that's when I start having the issue. Now you get Starfield, and then when you start hearing those titles, you start thinking, well, if they're gonna do that, then they're gonna do everything, right? And then you start, well, this is a one way, because I'd be damn if Sony and Nintendo, they ain't for none.
Facts.
None. You ain't finna see a God of War Spider. Man, they paid to keep Street Fighter off your system. What makes you think they're gonna put any of their first party titles on your system? And the only reason why MLB is there is because Phil found a loophole through MLB.
True.
So you mean to tell me that your competition is at its most vulnerable state right now, right? You don't have they don't know who's gonna run PlayStation, right? They have no first party roadmap or direction right now. They seemingly is relying on third party until they get their first party stuff together. They've been firing people, games been getting canceled. You don't know what type of direction the CFO gonna come in and take PlayStation until they get somebody. And you mean to tell me when you got them in this vulnerable state to put their foot on their neck, you gonna throw them a lifeline? And they didn't throw you a lifeline in the Xbox One era? They put their foot on your neck and squash it to the ground and tried to get you up out of here? This what we do? Man, if we ain't doing that.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't doing that. And I'm not supporting that. And I understand why Tim is passionate about an ecosystem that he's invested in. Just like people invest in sports, they invest in movies, they invest in other things, and they're passionate about the time and effort that they take in these ecosystems. I'm not condoning none of this. Nah, and I'm not gonna support it.
Yeah.
At all. I don't support it at all. The Sea of Thieves, that's cool. Let them play Sea of Thieves. You know what I'm saying? Then we can sit back and watch all them PlayStation dudes who clowned it that actually want to play it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We know they was thirsty for Hi-Fi Rush. They was hating when Hi-Fi Rush got announced, talking about Xbox platform don't deserve it. They don't deserve a game like that. That's a PlayStation game. That ain't no Xbox game. And now they salivating for it. Okay, get them that. That's cool. But when you start talking about the big guns, you know what I'm saying? Big Indiana Jones, Blade. What? And Sony, we just found out from that Insomniac leak that they got X-Men and all this shit coming.
Mm-hmm.
And it ain't coming to Xbox. Not a damn one of them. Ain't none of them coming to Xbox.
So true.
Oh, listen, man, but just get started. Let me take my little work shirt off. You know what I'm saying? Look, this is look, cause it's blasphemy.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not willing to compete in this, you got Bethesda. You're pretty in Activision. You pretty much, in terms of Western RPG, you pretty much own that land. And pretty much West.
Yep.
And first part, you just got Activision. You mean to tell me you ain't gonna see what you're able to do with Activision and Bethesda before saying, we tried this and that, and well, this is where it's at, and this is what we got. You mean to tell me you ain't gonna even try to fight? You just took their plate of food. You own their kitchen. You prep their meals. They don't eat without you. They've said this. Call of Duty funds our first party games. Right?
Yep.
Then you sat in the ABK trial and said Sony takes the 30% that we pay them for putting, having legacy titles and all that on their store. They take that and try to buy us out, or pretty much push us out of the business. That's what you told the judge. So you mean to tell me you finna turn around and give them more money so they can do the same thing? At a time when them Insomniac leaks was saying they're in terms of their pillars, they're behind. Mobile store, they're behind. PC store, they're behind. unified development environment in terms of creating one game and making it one game across cloud, PC, and PlayStation simultaneously, which Microsoft is able to do, that they're behind in that they have to watch their spending, not make stupid deals. They're thinking about AAA versus just the money that they're spending on AAA, making 2 or 3 AA games out of that, which means they're pretty much cutting back, consolidating. You mean to tell me? I know you saw them Insomniac leaks. I know your peoples went through. You can't fool us. We know your peoples went through the paperwork. And you mean to tell me you finna throw these people a lifeline? No, we don't do that. This is the game industry. It's been competitive since I had an understanding of it. You and Nintendo been throwing punches for the longest. You got Sega up out of there. Xbox, y'all better not come no damn Sega. I swear to God, you better not become no damn Sega. What are we doing here? What is really going on, man?
Brother, I wish I knew.
I don't even know why it feels wrong just having this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it's out there and being implied. And then they turn around and say, you gotta wait a week. We gonna tell y'all next week. Something y'all was gonna make us wait until the spring.
Yeah. And that's part of the problem too. And Danny, I do want to get you to talk on it too, but like,
my bad.
No, you're good. That's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what I needed right there. And I think you encapsulated exactly what a lot of us felt. It's like, wait a minute. You were going right. You had this going. You just got ABK. You just spent $75 billion for that. Then again, there goes the rub, right? Because now we are starting to see what the consequence of that expenditure, if you will, what that results in. And then it's, I guess, in a case for them, they look at their bottom line and they're like, at least the speculation, because we don't know yet. But the speculation is they want to recoup faster than what they thought they would recoup. They want that ROI sooner than later. So they're thinking, hey, no, we're going to have to possibly put more games out there on other platforms than we originally thought. My thought went to this immediately, and it was, this can't be a decision that Field and team made. I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
You know what happened?
What's that? What do you think?
It ain't the Xbox books that they worried about. Bobby Kotick got one off on him. Let's be honest.
Got the golden parachute and got out
Let's
of there.
be real.
Yeah.
He cooked the books. They overhired, right? Because they wanted to push those Call of Duties out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Overhired. The Call of Duty numbers, woo up the bam, looking great. He cooked the books. And now that you went there able to see the books, he got his golden parachute and up out of there. Aiming them and them bean counters that went up there and really assessed everything. And you like, hold on. What did we really just spend $75 billion on?
Yep.
Huh?
Yeah.
Because Blizzard ain't been ran right. Activision ain't been right. They just been a Call of Duty machine.
Mm-hmm.
And that looks good. Yeah. You think everything good over there because Call of Duty bringing in all that. And then you get in there and you man, what type of Ponzi scheme they been doing? I think that's the issue. I don't even think it's Xbox book. I think Bobby cooked the books and got up out of there.
You know, we never will know, possibly, right? Well, being Xbox, we probably will know eventually, but
we're gonna find out. At some point.
We're gonna find out. You know, I think you hit a lot of good points, bro. And again, we have a lot of uncertainty, and again, I've seen a lot of people in the community turning against one another. And how do you trust this person and that person? And listen, a lot of the guys that you all get mad at, I understand it, but you have to remember, a lot of them do have contacts, and very reliable contacts. Tim Dog has a ton of them. And like Post said earlier, if he's saying that, he's not guessing.
No.
He's not guessing at this. And I get why people are mad. I saw to their credit, I get why, because he had gone on a bit of a tirade over the past week where he has not been pleased with what he's heard and been told, and had revealed to him. But that doesn't mean that he gave up on Xbox. He's just upset with the direction they're going. But he's still Xbox number one. That's how he is. I mean, anywhere you look at his profile, even on it's just this little throw out there on Discord, he's still like, I bleed green on there, more or less. So
Tim Dog contacts start from the top down. People don't know how high his contacts go.
Absolutely.
He don't have the usual contacts. His contacts are, we're talking about executives.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So if he's making a fuss like that because he's really mad.
Exactly. And I think sometimes people think, well, you're criticizing this platform and you're saying these things, and they take it a little too much to heart, and like you're turned against them. I don't think it's that. So I think just to say, I think for those feeling away, maybe calm down a bit until we hear news. Maybe you might start siding with him once you hear news. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. I'm hoping that Microsoft is smart enough to understand the situation they're in now, because Phil had to come out, of course, and address the situation. Mr. Phil, we hear you, Spencer, and try to settle it down. I will say that them delaying us for a week to tell us the news, I don't know if that was the wisest choice or not, because all it's led to is a lot of conspiracy theories and turmoil throughout the entire community and the press. So it's made it exacerbated the situation even further, because the press has been dooming and glooming, So that's the thing too. But Danny, with you on it, when you came to this news, how did you feel about this, and did you think it made sense for them to delay telling us what's up for a week?
So in reverse order, no, it doesn't make sense, and I hate it. Is like the short version. It's just like, I think the two things come together to make the worst possible, like the perfect storm of just awful PR, where it's like, these rumors are out there, you're saying nothing, like literally nothing, except we hear you, which like, no, the fuck you don't hear me, you're not listening to me. I swear to God, if you thought you heard me say, hey, put Halo on PlayStation, you weren't listening. I don't know who you were listening to, but it wasn't me. Because it's like, I don't understand it. I really don't. I think there's the obvious positives of like, yes, if you put your games on PlayStation and Nintendo, more people get to play that game. And it's like, that's cool. Yeah, I'm happy about that, I guess. But then it's also like, once you start putting all of your games onto other platforms that are not yours, then the problem becomes that the more success you see there, the more your board is going to push for more and more of that. So like, it's exactly the same as how the rumors went, right? Is it's going to go, it's going to go, well, we're putting Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves out there, and people are going to be like, I don't like that, but all right. And then they're going to be like, we're putting Starfield out there, and everyone's going to be like, no, don't do that. And they'll be like, also Halo, and then all of a sudden it's a riot, right? Like to coin I guess a metaphor from King David, it's like Godzilla could take out Kong anytime, but he's got a shotgun in his mouth, and who's got their finger on the trigger? Oh, it's Phil Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
Phil Spencer about to blow the top off Godzilla for no reason. Yeah. Like it's really, really crazy, because, and I broke this down in a recent video I did, where it's just like, it could go in so many dramatically different ways. And because they're not telling us anything at all, they are opening themselves up to take nonstop abuse and not doing anything about it. And we're watching people hold 12-hour spaces about how they're not an Xbox fan anymore. We're seeing people trade in their Xboxes. We're seeing all of this, and I know that the metrics based people will look at it and be like, oh well, that's just a really small number of people. And it's like, yes, but they're representative of a much larger emotion, which is you finally had things going for you and then you shot yourself in the head. Like, you finally had like a first party family where you could really make a push into the game space, where you could really compete with PlayStation and Nintendo on an actual level. And you decided that the second you got that, rather than try that out for a year or two and see how that worked, you were just like, no. What if we gave everything away immediately? And I think that's really disappointing for the fan base, because the fan base has been working, has been waiting this entire time for Xbox to basically get it together. And as soon as they start getting good news, it's like completely ripped away from them with this rumor that they basically confirmed is at least partially true by saying, hey, we'll talk to you about it next week. And it's the way that I fall down on this at this point is, if we, no matter what is announced on Monday, Tuesday, whatever they talk about it, if we end up in a future where Xbox games, after any period of time, I don't care if it's 10 years, show up on PlayStation, and that's not going to be, the reverse is not true, like PlayStation games are never coming to Xbox, then there's no reason to ever own an Xbox. There's no reason at all.
That's the biggest problem.
Yeah. And I'm a big Xbox fan. I've been an Xbox fan for a long time, but I'm also, financially responsible. And if there is no reason for me to own an Xbox, I won't. Full stop. Like, I will stop buying my games on Xbox because I don't know what's going to happen. Once they start putting all their games on PlayStation, then the time limit is going to start coming down, because they're going to be like, well, we want that money from PlayStation sooner. So it's going to go from a year to 6 months to 3 months to day and date. And then they'll be like, oh, well, we're selling more games over on PlayStation at this point because there's no reason to own an Xbox. And they'll be completely oblivious to the fact that they did that to themselves. And then they'll be like, so we'll just stop making hardware. And anyone who owns a digital library is going to be completely screwed. I, fortunately, have been a big proponent for physical media. So at least when Xbox kills themselves, or if Xbox kills themselves, I'll be able to sell that back and get some PlayStation games out of it, I guess. But it's just like, that could be true, or it could be this is the exact breakdown I did in my video, where it's like, Xbox could literally have just killed themselves. They could be out of the industry and completely pointless. This could lead to widespread layoffs. It could lead to, well, we don't need a hardware team because we're not making hardware anymore. Or, well, we're not making the money that we thought we would make, so we're going to lay off a bunch of people at all these teams. Like, it could go really bad for them. Or this could be a thing where they can't tell us about it right now because PlayStation is also in on it. Like, if this is a situation where Xbox and PlayStation have come to the agreement that after a year or whatever, they're going to start putting all of their games onto each other's consoles, then the exact opposite is true. This becomes the absolute best time for video games. It becomes the most competitive time for video games in terms of both hardware and software, because now the hardware is very important because it's basically the only divider. And the games become really, they become so much more competitive, because if they're going to be over on your rival platform in a year, then they have to launch good enough that it doesn't feel like your players are beta testing them for the other guy.
And that was one of the problems.
And also they have to be good and compelling enough to make people not want to wait that year, right? So if both Xbox and PlayStation, and possibly Nintendo, are doing this at the same time, then this is the best thing for consumers. This is literally an everyone wins situation, because Xbox and PlayStation, they get to make a ton of money off of a single product, which means that they basically make more money off of less work, or the same amount of work rather, which is obviously great for them. It's literally the one thing that every industry wants, is how do we make more money but not do anymore. Like, hey, it's like getting a raise but not having to work anymore, you know what I mean? Nintendo, if they're in on it, basically gets to just become a dedicated handheld for, like, the go-to handheld for Xbox and Xbox and PlayStation. So it's a win across the board. Players win because it's like, well, I don't have to buy all three. I can just buy whichever one I want. And then, you know, the hardcore will still buy everything because they want to be part of the conversation. So like the hardcore the hardcore pretty much stays the same. The general consumer wins because they don't have to spend as much money on hardware. All of the companies win. Like if all of the companies are doing this at the same time, no problem. In fact, I highly encourage it. That would be the most amazing thing in the world. Like the console wars wouldn't be over, but it'd be a completely different conversation. I think tribalism would drop a lot because it would be like the biggest thing you could do would be like, oh man, that game sucks. I can't wait to play it in a year. You know what I mean? Like that conversation gets weakened. So if that's the direction we're going, 100% give it to me all day. Like that's what I want. But if we're going to in a scenario where Xbox is putting their games on rival platforms and they're getting nothing in return, then there's no reason to own an Xbox. And so I won't. I'll keep my existing Xbox. I'm not going to go sell it or sell all my games.
Right.
But if by the time the next generation of Xbox comes out, they have made it clear to me that there's no reason for me to own it, then I won't buy it, because why would I? Like,
yeah, I think you hit it a lot of it on the head. And a lot of the fear was what happens to, because I'm digital and I push digital because I don't care for physical anymore. That's where we're headed, right? And I've embraced that since the Xbox One gen. So to me, that's what it is. But there's a thing for game preservation, and we have to have security when it comes to that. I have 400 plus digital titles on Xbox. You know what I mean? And I'm not. That's
the big worry.
Absolutely, that's the biggest worry for me, is that what happens to my digital library of games? Many I haven't even got a chance to touch, mind you. So you know,
fortunately, I'm broke, so I don't have that many. Really missed the bullet on that one. But yeah, no, I mean that's a really valid and really big concern that a lot of people have. Is it's like, if Xbox dies, what does this turn into for my digital library? Like, do I just lose all of that? Do they have to reimburse me for it somehow? Because there's no laws about digital libraries yet. Like, it's still so new and government moves so slow that like there's no ramifications.
They're starting to come to fruition. The regulators are starting to trying to build them digital laws and stuff now.
There's no legal precedent for, like, if my company goes under, I have to reimburse people for this thing because I sold them nothing effectively, right? Like, will people make the argument where it's like, oh, well, you basically just bought a ticket to this game for the duration of the show, and hey, show's over, or like, I sold you a product and now it doesn't exist anymore. You know, it could really go either way. And if it goes that first way, then a lot of people are just going to be out like hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. So yeah, I don't know. This has always been my big problem with digital, is right now there's no protection for it, because a lot of people are willing to basically give up all of their rights of ownership and all of their rights, like ability to trade and do anything like that, in exchange for not having to stand up. Because that's really the only benefit, is I don't have to stand up and I don't have to go to the store. And it's like, okay, but in exchange, you've traded away your ability to own the thing that you are spending a lot of money on. You have given the company not only your money, but the right to just also give you nothing in return.
My issue is this. The Xbox community had the power through the Xbox One generation. We had to deal with a lot of shit in that generation. And a lot of it was due to a lack of content, a lack of first-party studios, a lack of new AAA content and IPs and things like that. But we stayed patient. We waited. We even created the wait to E3. Wait to E3. It was always wait to another E3. And we waited and waited. And even when this new generation kicked off, we had to wait again, because Phil came out and said there'll be no new generation games at launch, right?
Yep.
And we had to wait again. And now, when the games are when the studios are in a position to roll out all of when you're in a position, when you come out and confidently say, we're now in a position where we can drop a first-party Xbox game every quarter, you want to tell a community that been waiting 40 years for a new IP.
Xbox hasn't even existed for 40
years.
It's an exaggeration, brother. 40, not 4, about 40 years. You feel me? We waited 40 goddamn years. And we're finally about to get this new IP and this new content. And you want to say we got to share it with the guys in the community that been making fun of us and making fun of your system and calling you names and memeing you for the last 40? What, man? No.
Yeah.
We had a span of 30, 40 years in 23 years.
It's like your girlfriend was like, "Hey, I ordered your favorite dinner for you," and then her new boyfriend brings it through the front door.
Exactly. Like what the? Yeah, and it felt like it might want to have been 40 years, but it felt like 40 years. It felt like 40. And now you finna say all this new content and IP that we've been patiently waiting on and making excuses saying they're gonna come, and now that it's finally about to come, you're saying you're finna put it on a competitor's platform?
All right, you're not gonna be able to say that many times without a pause. I'm sorry.
No, I don't pause. I don't
pause.
I don't pause. I don't pause. You will not hear me pause. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people like doing that. I don't pause.
No, I think that the outrage and the people being upset on the internet about all this, I think it is. I mean, there's obviously people who are taking it way too far. Like, I think once you start sending death threats and start like pestering specific devs who have nothing to do with it, you've gone off a deep end.
No.
But I think Xbox has really opened themselves up to this. I think it's really problematic that they have basically confirmed that at least some part of these rumors are true, and then said absolutely nothing about it. And they said, "Hey guys, why don't you self-diagnose what this problem is with no information for the next 7 days?"
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll go great. Like, even if this turns out that's perfectly fine, which I think there's a really solid chance it does. Like, to be clear, the two options that I gave you, I don't think it's going to be either of those. I think it's almost certainly going to be somewhere in the middle. That'll probably not end up changing things as much as we think it will. But because they're not saying anything, people are speculating rampantly in every different direction about where this is going to go. And even if this ends up in the absolute best case scenario where like exclusivity is timed across the board, Xbox is taking such a massive PR hit right now that it's just like, what are you doing? Like, how are you coming out and being like, "We hear you"? Like, I don't care if you hear me. Say something.
We hear you. We're going third party.
Like
how many times Phil gonna say "we hear you"?
It's like, you hear me, but you're not listening. You know what I mean?
Right.
How many times Phil gonna say "we hear you"? That's his go-to line.
It is.
He done said it so much.
Yep.
Every E3, we hear you.
Yeah, it's like
for the last 40 years.
Imagine if you were talking to your kid or your significant other or whatever, and you were asking them really pointed questions about like, "Did you shoot that man? Did you do this thing?" And they were just staring blankly back at you, and they're like, "I hear you." No, you don't. Answer the question.
Look, man. Look, this time, like when you gonna have to just bring it on. I know we hear you. Okay, you need to come and just either you gonna rip the Band-Aid off. You know what I'm saying? And I'm at a point now. I don't look. First, these influencers and these content creators and will come out and say, "Look, this has happened. Starfield, Xbox going third party, on third party." Then Phil come out and say something. Now all of a sudden, "Oh, be cool. Next week gonna be great." Y'all just sown this seed. Y'all planted this seed. And now that is everybody going crazy. The community is pretty much in disarray. Now y'all want to turn around and say, "Man, what is y'all going crazy for?" Y'all, because y'all told them to. And now y'all want to say, "Oh man, next week gonna be fine."
That's
coming from the same people who told what?
That is part of the issue, right? And you know, I don't want to point any fingers, but
me either, or elbows.
But you know, but you're right. I'm like, but part of the issue is that a lot of people did the doom and gloom, and then we're like, "Hey, no, settle down,"
and then walk it back.
Then
walk it back, man. Come on now.
A lot of people did. Now, I get it; they're human too, right? So probably for them, when they saw it, they were kind of tripping out like we were originally, right?
Yeah.
But much like you, Post, I didn't jump to an extreme. I was feeling a little sad because it felt like this is the end for Xbox when I heard that. That's what it sounded like to me, because I don't know how you can recover going third party, because what use would your console serve if PlayStation gamers or potential customers can get everything over there? It just it makes no sense, especially like, you know, plenty of people on PC, and if they're going to go to console, PlayStation is seen a lot in most eyes as the default console, and then Nintendo maybe right as a companion. So you can't. It's just it's a hard sacrifice to do that. So my thoughts went to that, but then at the same time I said, listen, this can't be a decision made haphazardly. This can't be a decision made by Phil and team specifically. I don't think Phil and team made this decision. I think this was over their head. Oh yeah,
we know where it's coming from.
Absolutely over their heads. So, and that's what we've been hearing too. Like, it's the speculated, at least even from Tim Dog, that this happened over Phil and team's head. And I believe that. It's the only thing that really makes sense, because it's like, nah, you couldn't have said the things you said and then pull this, right? And so maybe, and this is the thing too, because we had a great guest on that spoke on how this wouldn't be as big of a deal as people were making it out to be.
Okay.
So maybe all of this is for nothing. Maybe it's essentially is just Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush. Maybe it's just going to be gas titles. We don't know.
Yeah. Well, I genuinely think that that's probably what it's going to end up being. Not that specifically, but I 100% guarantee this is not going to be anywhere near as bad as people on the internet are thinking that it's going to be. The problem is that Xbox's communication is so awful.
So true.
That they're allowing people to do this. It's like, we're looking at like Clobrill's retiring his brand, Tim Dog's like putting on things saying he's not a fanboy anymore. Like, we're talking about people who've been like,
because they know
the Xbox fan community for a decade plus, and it's like it's
know.
like, guys, you have to say something. Like like, you're not just a business that's about like we make steel beams for towers. You're an entertainment business,
right?
And if people are pissed off at you, they're not going to buy your product. Like,
especially if they sense uncertainty, right? And going back to what Post said, they know, and that this is, it's one thing for Tim Dog to do that, who has been staunchly pro Xbox, a clear bot in the field, as people would say, supremely so, right? For him to be reacting that way, and then you, like you said, Danny, for Clobril to basically rebrand him and, like, you know, give us his retirement papers, more or less. That's a heavy blow right there, in my opinion. Pause, but that's exactly what that feels like.
No, I mean, that's right. I know that once this ends up being a thing, like, for all the stupid things that they've done, I don't think that Xbox is actually stupid enough to just like take their entire brand out back and shoot it with a shotgun. Like, I have to believe that they're not that stupid, because they're business people. They know how to make money, and killing your brand isn't going to do that. So, like, I know for a fact this is going to be something where either it makes sense, or you can at least kind of understand how a bunch of weird boomers in a boardroom would think it makes sense. And right now, I'm not at the point where I can see either of those things. So I know it's not going to be as bad as the general consensus on like Twitter right now is, because it never is. It never is, right? The people on social media, they get into a tizzy and they go off the deep end, and everyone's super pissy. And then, like, you listen to podcasts that you really like, and they bring on somebody who shouldn't be there, and they're talking about, I'm not going to say which one, but we talked about it in the green room, who shouldn't have been on that podcast, and it's just like talking mad shit the whole time and doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, there are so, like, you've got Xbox fanboys freaking out, you've got PlayStation fanboys doing a victory lap, and like, the reason that this is happening is because there is no communication. Like, I keep coming back to that because it is so important in this instance. It's like, this is not just a normal rumor. It's not like, oh, this one game that they had might not be an exclusive. Like, it's not the thing where they was like, oh, they didn't put the Xbox logo on the Indiana Jones trailer. What does that mean? Like, that's not necessarily something you have to come out against.
Right.
This is a situation where like Xbox and all this stuff has been trending for like the entire week, and will continue to for the rest of the week until they say, and probably for some amount of time afterwards, depending on how stupid the thing they decided to do is.
Right.
Like, this is a big deal. And I think the idea that I keep seeing some people online, like I see like PR people talking about how it's not a big deal, and how like, oh, well, we can't respond to everything. And it's like, no, you can't and you shouldn't. But this one, this one, you probably should say something.
Might want to make an exception on this part right here.
Like, I don't know if you've noticed, your community's on fire.
Right. I think
like
that's
your
the biggest
hardcore
thing.
fan base, who are the whales of your income, are pissed.
Yep.
And you said, it's okay, baby, I hear you. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
Hey, risk it. Say that's because things shake. You know what? Why I have a problem with that risk it. First, they came out and said, "Look, it's like Infinite was saying earlier. It's Sea of Thieves. It's Half-Fi Rush." Then they start saying Starfield, and Halo, and Gears, right?
Yeah, it's a slippery slope.
Right. Then all of a sudden they flipped and start saying, be cool. Why y'all getting mad at rumors? Oh, now they rumors.
Yeah.
So now
It's
you're
like,
trying to.
If they were just rumors, all you need to do is have Aaron Greenberg put out a tweet that's like, this isn't true. That's all you need to do.
That's it.
But
So
when you say
now-
you're talking to me next week, what you're saying is like, the allegations are true.
Yeah, so now you're telling me not to get mad at something you put out saying is true, and now you want to walk it back, and then you get mad at how people reacting, saying, "Why y'all get mad at misinformation and disinformation?" And it's coming from the same person that put out the disinformation and misinformation. Like, what are we doing? What?
Yeah. Like, I bet that the people, there's probably some weird, dumbass miscommunication internally, even where like the marketing team or whatever is not communicating with the team that made the decision to do whatever they're going to tell us they're doing next week is. And they're like, hey, this leaked. We need to say something. And then the marketing team's like, well, I made a cool video package about how Xbox is dead. I made like a tombstone PDF in Photoshop. And it's exporting right now, and my computer's really bad. It won't be ready until next week. And everyone's like, I don't give a damn. Like, say something.
Yeah, this
like, unless this is going to be monumental news, that's like, this had to, like, I don't know. There's been a lot of rumors that are like associated with this about like what other things they might be showing off next week, and I'm not going to get into all that. But but it's this whole thing of like, okay, if you're showing something next week, and this is a thing that's going to cause people to show up at your front, like it's the French Revolution, right? And the Phil Spencer and the the Parliament or whatever are up in all their fancy buildings. They're like, they'll never take the Bastille, and everyone's out there with their pitchforks and torches, and they're like lining up the guillotine, and they're like, this thing ain't gonna shut up for like 3 weeks. I'm gonna be cutting heads off until you all say something.
Yeah,
I do believe Microsoft was put in an awkward position though, and I believe that they were unable to respond because they was trying to figure out
It must be something like that.
Who the actual leaker was, and in that case, instead of responding to it,
they're trying to
you
sort
even
out
turn
who it
around
is.
and start feeding. You start putting stuff out there and putting miscellaneous information out there to see if you can figure out who the leaker is.
That could
So
be.
part of this is leaker, and part of it's probably Microsoft trying to catch the leaker.
I've
you
actually
know?
heard that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if you all have
there's a
heard
witch
those.
hunt.
Yeah, it's a witch hunt going
There's
on
gotta
out
be.
there. Yeah,
There's no way there isn't.
I don't know if you all in the chat have heard, but there is apparently a witch hunt going on where Microsoft is trying to find a mole.
Yes,
the
it is.
mole.
Yeah. So
trying to
hey,
find
anybody
it.
out there, if you've got connections, you keep your mouth shut for the next 6 months to a year.
Yeah, they looking. They
Keep it under
looking.
wraps because they're watching right now. Streets is watching, as they would say. But yeah, Riskit, I see you in the chat. Riskit says a few things. He says that Halo is gas. Yes, trust me, I'm well aware, Riskit, and it terrifies me, the thought of it going over the PlayStation. But then again, it's conditioning, because if it goes over the PlayStation, for one, they finally get a multiplayer shooter that's worthwhile. Two, it probably exponentially increases, the base there for people to go against. Maybe that's a plus. I don't know. I mean, they're going to get destroyed by us anyway on the Xbox side of things, so it's whatever. But yeah, Riskit, since you're talking right there, why don't you just join in on the show? It seems like you're free. And and Post, he just addressed you. He said, I think that what they're going to say is too big to respond. The ducks aren't lined up yet. And
It has to be something like that.
It's a business event. It ain't an Xbox event. It's a business. So we're talking about a whole new restructuring.
Yeah, I guess what my thing is like, you don't have to tell us what the announcement is, but you need to say something that's like, hey guys, I promise you this thing is not as bad as you think. Like, there are aspects of this that are true, and we'll talk about it next week, but a lot of this is false, and you don't need to worry about it. Like, all you need to say is something that like alleviates tension on any level, and is like, not only do I hear you, but like, I'm actually listening to what you say or what you're saying, and it's not as bad as what all the rumors are. Like, if you could just show up and have any kind of bedside manner to just lighten the blow of whatever thing you're gonna announce. Because here's the other thing, is if the thing that you're gonna announce on next week is something that people are going to enjoy and doesn't suck, you should say something so that they're not coming into WrestleMania with their guns loaded. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, you don't want people showing up to you. Like, that's the worst audience to perform in front of. Like, you don't want people showing up to your one-man band already pissed at you. Like, no.
Yeah, and so this is where I want to pivot a bit, right? Because I guess I'll move to this since I have it on the screen right now. And a bunch of articles are out there now. This is just speculation, of course, but
sorry, real fast. Rick says he's in the car, so
yeah. Oh, and my brother Jedi Knight Peter joined us. Thank you, Pete, for jumping in. He said he could make it about 30 minutes, so that works.
Jedi, what's up?
We got one Australian at least.
Oh wait, Risket jumped into the other chat. He wants to get dragged in.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let's see.
Yeah, he's in Shooting the Breeze. Yeah.
Okay, I see him.
Oh, this is like the infinite podcast without Holly.
Yeah. Wow. Welcome to. Yeah, once Risket joins in, absolutely. But welcome to the best show on the internet. No, I'm joking.
Should get Holly in here as well, bro.
Yeah, I think Holly might be busy, but hold on one second. Let me get Risket in here. But Pete, since you're joined in, what have you been up to, brother? How are you feeling?
Yeah, good man. Yeah, so I mean, you know, I had like stitches done, and it hurts to talk a lot, but it's more itchy than anything else, bro. But yeah, man, like, sorry, I know you invited me on this show, and I didn't want to talk too much, man. It's been really painful. But yeah, thanks for having me again, man. I haven't been doing much, bro. I've been playing a little bit of Call of Duty Season 2. I finished off Prince of Persia, and I've been playing Dead Island 2, man. Loving it. And obviously commiserating the death of Xbox.
Yeah. Yeah. So your thoughts on that as it pertains to the Xbox and news you've been hearing and things like that, because you're not often on Twitter and things like that. So when you heard the news, what did you feel like?
Look, I have a little bit of a different perspective on it. I think that everything got massively overblown. I do understand where there's smoke, there's fire, but I think that until we actually get a response from Xbox, I mean, you talked about this. I thought that they weren't going to talk about it at all because they've been able to stay mum on this issue for quite a long time. But obviously, this time it was a little bit different. Now, I've got no problem with certain games going third party. I just don't. I think that the more games they sell, the more games they're going to be able to make for Xbox. The only problem I see with that is the marketing and the messaging basically becomes impossible after that, because nobody knows which game is going to be exclusive, which game isn't. So I think if they maybe are a little bit more clear on that aspect, I think that the more money that games make, the more games that we get, and the more free games we get put into Game Pass.
Yeah. So do you buy any of this, or do you think it is just a lot of speculation without any teeth to it?
Look, I definitely think where there's smoke, there's fire, and I definitely think that there's conversations in the background that we're not privy to. I think that they have been discussing what games that they're going to try and put on other platforms. So I do think that there's more to it. I don't think it would have got as big as it was if people weren't in the background, the people in the know, the people that have insiders that have reached out to them and they have told them something. Now, whether that is set in stone, whether or not they're just floating the idea, that I don't know yet. But I definitely think that there's more to it than we all know.
Yeah, I'm kind of on your side there, and I think maybe after they saw the reaction from the fan base, maybe there might have been a pivot. But Risk It, since you jumped in, I know you're on your phone, but what are your thoughts on the whole situation, and then what knowledge do you have to impart on us, our Australian brother?
I mean, just give me like another 5 minutes. I'm out in the shop now.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
I'll come back to you. So then while he's doing it, I'll address this what's on the screen now. So we got this report, and our brother the Mag, if you all don't know, on the X&C podcast with Colt Eastwood, not only did he speak on it, but even before he spoke on it, there was rumor about the next generation Xbox to launch, right? And now we're hearing more. So they're saying that it's going to launch in 2 different SKUs, one cheaper SKU. It sounds like they're mimicking what they did here in this generation, which is the Xbox Series X and S. And so they're going to have 2 different SKUs. A cheaper SKU will be dockable, and a dockable handheld capable of playing games natively, which sounds dope to me. However, I wonder how powerful that thing can be if it's going to play them natively, especially for a next-gen handheld. Because even right now with the ROG Ally and or the Legion Go, etc., not all those current gen games can play at the best of their ability. So I'm wondering how that works for this. But I'll say this, if this is true and it's a next generation thing, it feels like we'd have to buy both, in my opinion, because the higher end spec is typically basically the one you're just going to have on your TV. The dockable one, handheld, is basically a different device altogether. As far as things go, to me, I think it's smart in that we would have to have both devices. What's your thought on that, Post? And then we had Mag, like I say, confirm it, and he gave more knowledge on it too. But what's your thinking on these devices?
It doesn't make sense.
Give me reason.
The devices. Look, I do think Microsoft has to come out with a handheld. I think that's inevitable, given their direction and what they're doing with AI. You know, I think Xbox, and that's why I don't think Xbox hardware is going anywhere, because it's the most friendly consumer product that they have. They can learn to market it and message it right, that they can push their AI agenda through. And so what gets me is that the ROG Ally, even the Steam Deck came out was $600-700, right? How is the Xbox handheld dockable is going to be cheaper than the main console, which is supposed to be how?
Agreed. Same thing I said.
How? That's the part that doesn't make sense, right? Look, I know the console might be the most powerful, but probably with where they target it and with where the chips are, right? I don't see no Xbox, no $200 or $300 handheld device like the Switch. Microsoft is not for to put out they bet not. They bet not
Put out a streaming device.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna do that. I think the handheld, the dockable version of it, I think is gonna be more expensive than the console, right? And I think it's going to be probably within the same spec or compete with the same margins that the other handhelds. Because you gotta understand, they're gonna be going. This ain't the end of the ROG Ally. They're gonna come out with another. The Legion Go gonna have another version. What's the other company that be doing the keyboard and the mouses that they're releasing one too?
That's a threat. That's a threat.
Yeah, so
of business, right? So
yeah, so why would you put some? Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And then they have to natively run next generation games, and it's going to be cheaper. Yeah. Shit, in what world?
That's the part that we're like. If that's the case, then that must mean that the main SKU is going to be astronomical in price. If that's the case, at least by $200 or $300 more, right?
Well, not. I don't know. I don't think so. Mm-hmm. Like you would think that, And
Mhm.
I thought that, but I don't think so. I'm not going to say why I don't think that, because I don't really have any good reason to say that, other than I just don't think so. But
Hmm.
can I track back a little bit to what you were saying before post up? So with the big creators and stuff, even myself, I guess I jumped on Twitter and had a fair bit to say, and I think that's a reasonable reaction, and that's something that needed to be done, right? Because we can't just we're not ponies, and we don't just let our brand bend us over a barrel and then take it. We don't do that. That's not what we're about. And then you don't want to wait until they announce they're going to do this thing,
Yeah.
and then react. That's too late, right? Because they've already announced it, and it's harder for them to roll it back if we don't react, right? So I think the reaction's fair, but think about how that all sort of went down, right? So the rumors came out, things sort of snowballed, started small, couple of games, next game, all of a sudden everything's going, everyone starts freaking out. And then probably a day to 2 days, somewhere in that day there, things started to calm down, and everyone's turned around, like you're saying, the creators like, everyone just calm down. It's just a rumor. Like, there's a reason why that happened, right?
Exactly.
You got to think like in the background, or there's stuff going on in the background. People are finding things out, and then realizing that it's not what we're told. They're getting more information. I don't know what that information could be, but and then all of a sudden, everyone's like, everyone chill out, right? It's okay. Everyone, there's got to be a reason for that to happen. Like that doesn't just happen. People don't flip and walk shit back for no reason.
Yeah.
So that there's that. Then the other thing, I guess, to sort of the reason for flipping out initially was like, you do that. The logical conclusion is you give all the exclusives. A logical conclusion, you just killed your console. Like Danny said before, you took it out the back and you put a shotgun to its head and pulled the trigger. But if this is the thing, they need to come out and allay those concerns. And the way that everyone flipped back, myself included, there must be a reason for that happening that allays those concerns that the console is going to disappear. So there must be a reason for that, right? So we don't know what that is, and I guess we'll find out. The other thing that I want them to do, I really need them to do this, is allay the hardware concerns, right? So they got to come out with some hardware, like you guys are talking about, and if that's a handheld, and to me initially my thoughts were, well, shit, you're going to do a handheld, you're going to constrain the damn system again, or we're going to end up with this massive SKU box that's going to cost $1,000, and then we're going to have this tiny box. The tiny box is going to sell. It's going to restrict the other console. We're back in the same situation that we feel that we're in now, right? So, but I don't think that's what they're doing this time, and I think it's a good reason for that might be they may have learned some lessons from the Series S.
I was going to say, this is all hearsay. Where is all this coming from? Look, the reason why, and Umbra, you said to me that I'm not on Twitter much, and that is true, but obviously everybody's been forced to get all their information off Twitter at the moment because the people that are in the know are all putting out information there. And I wasn't completely negative at the start, even when I was in a party with, a lot of the big guys. I don't want to name any names, but literally they were like marking the death of Xbox. And I was like, look, hang on, guys.
Wait, so you're telling me these big names were dooming and glooming?
Oh, big time.
Oh man.
Well, I know that
some
that's the
guys
case
have some
because
really
I've been watching
podcasts.
podcasts that are from actual journalists who are saying the exact same thing. Big name people, like people who vote on game awards are looking at this and saying Xbox is dead. And it's like,
exactly.
Like the feelings
this is a huge deal. That's great if the feelings change, but they need to say something. Saying we hear you, we'll talk to you in a week is not going to do anything because people are freaking out right now. Their entire community is in shambles.
Daniel.
Yes.
why has the community changed? Like, why has those guys who were initially leaking all that stuff, why has their demeanor changed? And then the other thing is,
Most of them haven't.
well, then
Oh, there's
yeah,
definitely been a shift in narrative. That there 100% has been from the day that it got announced to I think
Well, I'm not
around
sure where
24
those
hour
people
mark
are
later.
getting their reasons to not be upset about it from. I don't know if they're so. For all I know, they're just moved on to a different stage of grief. All right, like I got no answer for you because I don't
yeah.
have those
That,
connections.
so, Danny,
Just the way I see it.
That to me says you're not really paying attention to the guys who were initially at the forefront of this. You're more paying attention to the community around them, like the general community. And I get that. That's fine because that's what you're going to see most of. But really go out there and pay attention to these guys. For one, and two, like your thing with the communication, like I agree. They needed to come out and say something. They should come out and say something. They have to come out and say something, and they are. But if you want them to just come out and like it's not happening or it is happening, that's not helpful. They need to come out with a vision for the future, and you can't just slap together, a round table or whatever in 5 minutes.
No, but what you can do is say something to alleviate some of the pressure, and then say more information next week instead of I hear you. Here's nothing to help at all, and I'll talk to you in a week if our community is still alive by then.
Yeah.
I
think you're both right, and I think you're both right in that direction because again, having to wait a week has been excruciating for a lot of people. I think you don't have to necessarily outline the entire thing, but you can say, "We hear you. We understand that you all are feeling away. It is not, a lot of the rumors and reports that you're hearing are not true, but we will, explain more this coming week. Don't rush to judgments." Don't believe any unsourced or official reports from anybody. They could say something like that, I believe, and that's more in line with kind of giving us at least some measure of pause, right, for us not to be too upset. I think.
But what if it is true? This is the thing. How do you come out and say, yeah, the exclusives are going to PlayStation? Like, how do you just quickly come out and go, yeah, it's happening. Just not how you think it is, and it's more nuanced, and we'll be back with you in a week.
Like, I really don't think there's any. The only more nuanced answer that would result in anything other than Xbox being completely shut down is, and I don't mean shut down as in like the business closed, but like shut down as in may as well not exist, is if the other platform holders, at least PlayStation, is doing something similar. Because like I was saying, literally, if any savvy consumer is looking at the breadth of things coming from the games industry and they're like, I can get everything that I want at some point on PlayStation and I can't get it on Xbox, then they won't buy an Xbox. They just won't. Most people don't buy multiple consoles.
But we don't know that, Daniel. I mean, this is the whole point, and this is why everybody. We don't. Nothing has been said by Microsoft. Look, for a long time, I've been saying, and I think the whole Xbox has been saying, is in Phil we trust. And in Phil, I still trust. Now, I think I had a conversation with you, Risket, saying that a lot of this is coming from finance, and Amy Hood and, the higher-ups within Microsoft who only see the bottom line. But Microsoft just gave Phil Spencer the Microsoft title in his name. He is heavily impactful, and where the brand goes, he leads. I think his voice is final. Satya and him have a very good relationship. Now, I would dare say that the court case changed a lot of things. I don't think that any of them liked being called up in front of court. I think Microsoft wanted to stay a million miles out of that, but a lot of that was out of their concern. But in Phil, I still trust. He is a gamer. He knows the industry. And until Phil Spencer comes out and speaks, then I trust in him. I trust in his decision making. He's proven that over numerous years. He's got everybody to this point now, and I still consider him a leader that will take us in the right direction.
Now, I agree with you on that, but then that was part of the speculation, at least from what we heard from Tim Dog and a lot of the other general speculation is that this is out of Phil's hand, more or less. Like, I agree. Phil is one of us. Phil is down, and this wasn't a decision that he made. But like Risket was saying, the other people above him, the CFO, Amy Hood, Satya, like they can change at any point. They don't have to stick with what they said if as business dictates. So is this a decision over his head that he has to be forced to stick with? There was a report that came out from Tom Warren that he reported, not a report, but he at least responded to somebody on Reset Era, trash site. He said that most of the people at Xbox don't know what's going on. That doesn't mean Phil doesn't, of course, but most of the people at Xbox, right? But most of them don't know what's going on. So is this a plan necessarily from them, or is it from the higher ups? It seems to speak. You spoke to him about that. Enlighten us about it, brother.
Yeah, so I hit Tom up about that, and what he was saying when he said that, because that's been misconstrued like a lot by a lot of the PlayStation community. So what he's saying is the people who work within Xbox, they don't know what's going on because they're keeping it tight and under the hood. Like between the leadership is fully aware of what's happening. And they're fully involved.
Maybe, perhaps.
Yeah, talking about Phil, Sarah. Sarah definitely knows what's going on. So,
of course,
yeah, he wasn't saying that about the leadership, which everyone's assumed that, like, they're saying they're cutting Xbox out of it, and that all sort of came from that GameStop room where GameStop made like Microsoft Game Pass, which has since been dispelled as well.
Right.
But
yes. See, that's what I was saying. I already knew.
Wait,
that.
Are you telling me they've been keeping it under wraps, and only the bad parts leaked out? Is that what you're trying to tell me right now? They're it's like, oh no. So I know that you're looking at a shit sandwich right now, but don't worry, gravy's coming. Like what?
No, but that's what you just said was what I was saying, Risk. That obviously the higher ups know in Xbox, but most of the people around them don't know what the plans are, and that sounds more like a decision from above Phil and team. If the people around Phil and team don't know what's going on, you see what I mean? So because it's tightly under wraps. So that's the concern from what Tom Warren had wrote. But I'll say this, and I'm going to pivot because part of it was this whole new generation thing with the two different SKUs. We don't quite know how this will work with that when that is concerned. But this is what I want to move to now, because I don't look like us to all be doom and gloom about the whole thing. I want to get from all of us, and I'll start with you, Post. What can be done if this is true? Let's say this is true. And I asked this in the space the other day when Tim Dog was hosting and had us co-host. What can be done if this is true? Because I never got a chance to really ask everybody. Let's say this is true. Let's say that they're going third party, or some of their games at least are going to go over there. Let's say that the worst of the worst happens, and they're going to put Halo multiplayer over there. They're going to put Sea of Thieves. They're going to put Starfield. I almost said Star Wars. They're going to put Starfield. They're going to put Indiana Jones, Blade, etc. Let's say those come over there. What if that is the case? What is the silver lining for us as Xbox mainstays, Post, that we could say, well, they could do this other thing, and that would alleviate things on this side? If you have anything that you could possibly say to alleviate it, in your opinion.
Nothing. I'm just gonna keep it real. Nothing. At that point, your brand, your identity. If that's the case, you might as well get out of the hardware bit. You might as well leave it up to Sony and Nintendo, and then Apple gonna slide in there because they low key preparing. I don't care how much people talking about, well, we've been waiting on this for years and this and that. They got them ARM chips over there working. They better be ready. You better watch out for that Apple TV box if they slap one of their M3, M4, M5 chips in there and turn that into a console in an all-in-one entertainment box with the billions of people they got on their platform. You still got to watch out for Amazon, even though they quiet. Don't mean they ain't watching the market. Everybody want a piece of the gaming market right now, and you're in prime position to kind of solidify some real estate there and make yourself a real competitor in terms of, if you want to come into this space and compete with us, you're going to have to spend money. It's not going to be easy, you know. you're in a position to put the people that's outside the industry that's trying to find a way in. You're in a position to do that. Look what Disney just did. 1.5 billion to Epic, because they looked at the time that what they say Gen Z and all them, the time that they're investing in gaming, and they saw the numbers and was like, we need a part of that. We need, and not 1 million, not 100 million, 1.5 billion. You know what I'm saying? Look, I know things are rough right now, but that's because you've been telling people not to buy your console.
So true.
But look, you have to remessage and use that hardware as a gateway into Game Pass. PC, handheld, and cloud is just an addition to that experience. They not the experience. The experience is the Xbox console or that handheld, which people been asking for the probably last 20 years. That's your main focus, and allow those other things be additives to it. But if you finna go put Halo and Gears on PlayStation, you mean to tell me I can go get a PlayStation 5 Pro or 6 and I got God of War, Spider-Man, X-Men, Halo, and Gears? What do I need an Xbox for?
That's absolutely the problem. That's absolutely the problem.
Well,
I agree. I agree with that. Yeah,
that's an incredible lineup, though. You listen to that lineup: X-Men, Spider-Man, God of War, Halo, and Gears. My bad.
I agree. That's
good.
That's 100%. But I do got to bail, so I just want to throw in like that was my concern. That's why I flipped out. That's why I was like, "Fuck this shit." Sorry about that.
Can you elaborate to us, Brisket? Were you actually crying in that video? Can you elaborate for us?
Nah, that's how I look in the morning, man. I wake up like shit every morning.
I always wake up crying.
That's a 43-year-old man who's worked his whole life and who just needs some sleep. Damn it. But the one thing, it's like, say this is true, everything's going to PlayStation, no exclusives on Xbox. They have one single hope. One single man could save the brand, Jason Ronald. And if he put out a console that's locking 120 FPS, like 4K, path tracing, smoking, anything that PlayStation can do at a reasonable price, then it's possible. But to compete with, like Post Up was saying, man, to be able to compete with Halo, Gears, Spider-Man, Wolverine, all that stuff, like it's be a tough call. But that's probably the one thing that they can do if they go full exclusive. Full non-exclusive. I don't think they're going full non-exclusive. I hope they're not that stupid, because, like Danny said, that is a shotgun blast to the head.
Yeah, there's it's just bad.
I got to bail, man. I got to bail. But shout out to everyone in the chat. Shout out to Umbra. Shout out to Pete. Post Up, Danny. Good talking to you guys.
Good to talk to you, Risky.
All right, brother. Thanks for jumping in.
Catch up soon.
I'll see you Friday. So now I'll go to you, Pete. I'm trying to get the silver lining here. I'm trying to get the positivity. I'm trying to.
I don't know where you looking, brother. You're going to have to keep fast.
Listen.
You're going to be searching all this week.
You're going to be panning for gold looking for a silver lining on this one.
Listen, it's raining outside here in Chicago right now. I'm trying to look past the clouds. You feel me?
So, only silver lining is sunlight in the morning.
So
that's it.
So Pete, with you, Pete, what do you think could be the silver lining? Let's say again that the theory is true, that they actually are going to put, let's say, partial third party. Let's not say full. Let's say partial third party. They're going to bring all multiplayer titles over there to be playable. Yeah, that means Halo. That means Gears multiplayer portion. They might keep the single player part just on Xbox. Let's say you bring select titles like the lower ends, like Hi-Fi Rush, the Oris, things of those natures, the smaller titles, AA, and they bring them to other platforms, Nintendo, etc. what is the silver lining for an Xbox player or consumer or potential Xbox consumer? What could they do to still entice somebody to the Xbox platform instead of going over to PlayStation or Nintendo?
Yeah, well, first off, the gardeners are here, so I apologize if you guys can hear all the noise in the background. I've tried to close all the doors and the windows, but I can see two silver linings, personally. First off, we'll get those games first. I doubt that they will come out on other platforms day and date. That would be ludicrous. So I could see us getting exclusivity for those games for at least a year. Now, when you're talking about bigger games, people have FOMO. They're not going to want to wait on these large titles. Secondly, we're getting them on Game Pass for free, day and date. Other platforms are going to have to pay for the privilege to play, hopefully, these great titles coming out. And then thirdly, the amount of money that Microsoft makes from selling these to other platforms enables them to make more games that we're going to get day and date on the console. So, you asked for a silver lining, that's the best I've got. In terms of, do I want every exclusive made on there? No, I think that it's going to be incredibly damaging to the brand.
No, I agree. And Danny, I'll go to you, then I'll give my thoughts, and we'll kind of wrap it up from there, because I don't know if there's any much more kind of way we could speak on this than this, but
No, I mean, very limited amounts of information been given, so all we can do is speculate. And like, this is exactly the problem, right? Is like, because I'm trying to represent like the full breadth of exactly how bad this situation could be. I don't think that it actually will be this bad. Like, I haven't heard anything, but like, no one's gonna just be like, hey, we made all of this stuff and we don't want it anymore. Did you guys want all these cool stuff, all these cool things that we're gonna make forever? Like, I don't actually think it's going to be the worst case scenario. I really don't. I don't think that anyone is stupid enough to do that. But because they haven't said anything, we have to, like, that possibility remains on the table because they won't take it off the table. So it's like you're asking for silver lining. I heard Pete say he could think it too. All I could think of was the two barrels on that shotgun that they put in their own mouth. It's not it's not a good look. It's really not. Like, in any scenario where, here's the thing. I think that in terms of like gaming fandom, I'm a big fan of games. I follow the industry. When it comes to like brand loyalty, I don't think that I have that in the same level as a lot of people who do podcasts. And I'm not even saying that is a bad thing. But what I am saying is I think that I'm closer to the middle where I think a lot of consumers are. Like, if I'm putting myself in the mindset of just like a generic consumer, right? If I know that I'm going to be able to play all of the games on PlayStation, I'm not going to spend $500 extra that I may or may not have to get an Xbox. I don't care about Game Pass. Game Pass will probably end up being on PlayStation if they're putting all their games there. Why wouldn't they put Game Pass there? Like, I could probably get Game Pass there if I want to. And if not, like, worst case scenario, I'm buying a couple of more games over on PlayStation. I'm still going to save money over buying a console. And if it's like, let's say that it's still a year exclusivity, right? They keep it timed for a year on Xbox and then it goes to PlayStation.
Right.
Like, this is 2024, and I am a millennial. We all have computers. Are they the best, most powerful thing that's going to be more powerful than a PlayStation or an Xbox? No. But you know what it'll do? Play the game. And the majority of consumers don't care about like, oh, this runs at 120 frames a second and this runs at 60. Most people don't care about that. Enthusiasts do.
Right.
And the enthusiasts will still buy everything all the time because they're like really, really big in the thing. But there's such a small amount of the people who are actually purchasing things. Like, you would really be shooting yourself in the foot. It's just a really bad idea. The only silver lining is if PlayStation is doing it too. And I've said that before, and I'll continue to say it. I really think, because Pete is 100% right. He is exactly on the mark. This is going to make Xbox a lot of money if they put their games on other platforms. So if the entire industry sees that and agrees to it, and they agree to do it around the same time, it's good for everybody. PlayStation gets extra money, Xbox gets extra money, we get more games, we don't have to buy $300-$500 consoles. Like, it is a win for literally everybody. That's the silver lining. I don't think that Xbox is doing the wrong thing by doing this. I think they're doing the wrong thing by doing this alone. If everybody else does this, or even if it's just PlayStation, this is a completely different conversation. This is awesome. Like, that would be the best thing for consumers. I think it'd be really good for everybody involved on the business side. You're going to make more money. You're going to spend less money. That is the perfect storm. That is what we should be hoping for on Monday or whatever.
That's actually well said. Yeah. Go ahead.
Almost anything less than that is like
uncivilized.
Well, when if I'm thinking it's just an average consumer, like if I'm putting myself in the mindset of most of the people that I work with, for example, I'm not buying 3 consoles. I'm buying 1, maybe 2, if there's something that I absolutely have to play, or if like I need a Switch to play on while I'm taking a dump. I guess people do that now. I think it's weird. That's how you get hemorrhoids. I don't get it, but whatever. Some people do that. It's
the wild.
I'm like, I don't care, right? Like, oh, the new Halo came out. Do I want to play that? Yes. Okay, well, I'll play it on my crappy PC until it comes to my PlayStation in 6 months or whatever. You know what I mean? Because that's more worth it to me than buying $500. And yeah, there's going to be people who are going to make that jump, and they're going to be like, I can't wait, I'm going to do it. But then the people who are going to do that, they're not the people who are going to be making you tons of money on your ecosystem. They're the people who are going to buy your Xbox and then exclusively buy the 1 or 2 ones that they can't wait for. It's going to be like, oh, I bought the new Halo and maybe I'm buying the new Fallout or something. And those are 15 years apart at this point. So like, that's not making you anything. It's just like, will this make them a lot of money? Yes. Yeah. I think it's a really easy argument for the board to make of being like, if we put our thing on more platforms, we will sell more copies, and therefore we will make more money, right? So it makes sense for them. The problem is, if Xbox starts slipping out of the console space and then they become basically just a third-party publisher,
right?
Then what that does is it gives PlayStation a de facto monopoly. Because yes, they're still competing with PC to an extent, and yes, they're still competing with Switch to an extent, but like we are all well aware that the PC marketplace and the console marketplace are pretty different. And then now the Switch is basically a handheld marketplace. So they're like their own pocket dimension of just like making money off Bing Wahoos and Pokemon or whatever, right? Like that's it's a pocket dimension, right? So like PlayStation does have to compete with the PC marketplace, but not like worry about it, because people who are going to buy consoles are going to buy consoles, and hey, if there's only one console, guess which one they're buying. And we've already looked at the things that PlayStation wants to do, and the only reason they haven't done it is because competition exists. The only reason we're not paying $100 for the next Spider-Man is because Xbox exists. I promise.
But we are paying $70 for all games because of PlayStation, and that's what a monopoly creates.
True. Yep. And it's just like absolute power corrupts absolutely, and PlayStation is already about halfway there, in both in terms of corruption and power.
Right.
My problem with Xbox going out of the industry is not because I'm like, I've tied my whole life to the existence of Xbox. Like, I've got a PlayStation. If Xbox dies, I can continue to play my games on PlayStation. I'll have to get over the fact that I hate that controller, but otherwise, not that big of a deal to me. However, if Xbox goes out, then PlayStation gets to dictate what games get made, because they're the platform. They are the platform. They get to dictate which games get visibility, which games get seen on their platform. They get to dictate which games are worth being greenlit, which ones they bother putting on their platform. They could effectively squash an indie by just not putting it on their console at all. Yeah, it would get play on PC probably, but Steam's marketplace is such a mess right now, you can't really find any indies on there anyway. So it's just like, there are so many larger concerns about the idea of Xbox tripping over that one last rake that puts them over the edge, besides the like, oh well, now my Halo is going to be played by a filthy guy in a blue hat. Like, I don't care.
Filthy hooved hooligan.
Like, I could care less. I really don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But
if you extrapolate, Daniel, you're right. Like, what does it lead to in the future? And I think it does end in a place where Microsoft don't make any hardware. That would be devastating for the industry.
It's really bad. It's really bad. And you know, I know that there's people who would probably be celebrating that in the short term on the PlayStation side, but then what happens, right? Innovation only happens in competition. And the reason for that is because innovation is really expensive and it's really risky. Like, you could make a game and then no one buys it. Or, you know, you have to invent this new technology. That takes money, that takes time, that takes risk. If you don't have someone to compete against, you're going to make Last of Us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up to 26, and nothing is going to change except maybe the main character because we love our golf clubs. And then what? Like, we're playing the same game
We're at a crossroads
for
for
the
the
next
industry.
decade.
I think there's no doubt that the cost of AAA games is becoming too exorbitant for game companies to keep making. When you look at games like The Last of Us and Spider-Man and these type of games not making money, Final Fantasy, you know, the list goes on. There's no doubt we're at a crossroads for the industry. How do you then couple that with the fact that getting your game out there then limits the amount of exclusivity you got? And I think these are the questions and the bigger questions that the gaming industry as a whole is reconciling with. When you look at the jobs that were just lost recently, a lot of them on the back of, you know, not being profitable anymore, how do you then safeguard those jobs so they don't go to other... Because once a person of talent leaves an industry, very rarely do they come back to it. And so these are bigger questions that I think the industry is grappling with right now. I don't know the answer. I don't think anybody really knows the answer.
Don't nobody know the answer. And I think whatever choices or decisions that Microsoft make next week will affect the entire industry, especially if they go third party. It's definitely going to shift the landscape. Dan said something that I agree with, and that's, I'll say this: if Microsoft, when it came out with the OG Xbox, the PS2 would have been out longer than we expected. That PS3, when it came out, I think Sony was rushed to put that PS3 out because of the OG Xbox. So if you don't get the OG Xbox, the PS2 is on the market a lot longer, because it was still selling like crazy on its way to 100, even when it hit 150 million. Now, it would have been a cap there where it started to, you know, but I think Sony would have milked that console for every piece of hardware they could have sold, right? Microsoft comes in the industry and they push innovation. We're not going to do 56K modem. We're going to do broadband internet. We know it's not prominent in the homes right now. It will be, you know. And making those decisions, you know, the hard drive and being able to listen to music and Xbox Live, that stuff, they came in and pushed the industry forward. So if they leave on the hardware, which I don't think they leave, not in the age of AI right now. But to say if they did, it'll be terrible, because if people know the history of Nintendo and Sony back then, they was even worse back then than they is now. And you think letting them two roam free and Microsoft get $100 games, long console cycles that goes beyond just 5 or 6 years. It's a lot that'll happen, but I think Microsoft stays in the hardware business. The only thing I'm iffy about is this whole third party thing and how much they're gonna go third party. Is it gonna be smaller titles, like your Hi-Fi Rush and your Sea of Thieves and possibly even State of Decay, which I don't think has been said. You know, titles like that.
Yeah.
Or are they gonna put their Xbox Game Studios, Halo and Gears? Is Activision gonna go for a third party? Are you gonna walk back what you said with Bethesda about their games being on platforms that support Game Pass, and they're going full blown third party? So Starfield and everything they're working on, even Doom new IP, is that going third party? So and then the Xbox Game Studios stay first party. It's a lot. Are you gonna walk back Game Pass day and date? Right? Are you gonna walk that back? Hold on.
That's a lot of the concern. And good thoughts, all of
Yeah.
you. And that's a lot of the concern too.
Can I address something in the chat real fast?
Oh yeah, sure, go ahead.
It's not a problem or anything. It's from Bobby Hawk, who's here all the time, and he's always leaving good comments. But I think maybe I misspoke or something, because he says, now you guys are just fooling. You keep saying PlayStation, or keep painting PlayStation as the villain of all game consoles, which it's not. And I agree. I'm not meaning to say that they're a villain. What I'm saying is they're business people, and if they can get away with making more money in whatever way possible, like, they're not going to be looking out for me or you or the consumer. They're looking out for them in their boardroom, and that's just because they're a company. Like, they're not villains, they're capitalists. Like, this is just how that works. It's the express reason why the FTC, they're not doing a great job, but this is why they exist, is to avoid monopolies for exactly this reason. Monopolies lead to things like price fixing. They lead to things like hiking up prices and a stagnation of innovation. This is all just like textbook what happens in the case of a monopoly. And I know that, like, technically speaking, if Xbox goes out, Nintendo is still there, but they're kind of like almost a sub thing, where like they're down in the handheld category mostly, and they're making games that are not really like pushing the envelope. They're doing their thing, and they're doing really well at it, and PlayStation is doing a very different thing and doing very well at it. Like, so it wouldn't be 100% a monopoly, but it would be close enough that they would be able to get away with a lot more. And if they can get away with more, they're going to.
And that's the
because
problem.
They're a company, and Xbox would do the same thing.
They absolutely would, and that's why.
100%.
And that's why we
true.
shouldn't.
Yeah.
But that's why it's problematic for now, because already PlayStation had, like we pointed out, because of them, Take-Two followed suit, and all these other companies. That $70 thing was on Sony. Sony was the progenitor of that. Had they not pushed that, the whole $70 thing wouldn't even be a thing. It's going to increase. That's going to go up. And they've already been talking about that if you looked at the documents of looking at $100 games and such. And what do we have?
They're trying to justify their ridiculous budgets.
$150.
See what I mean? And you have PlayStation guys who are adamantly agreeing with that. I find it bizarre. I've heard them say this, by the way. I've been in spaces where they're like, "I'll pay that. I'll gladly pay $100 in all this." I'm like, "Are you out of your mind?"
Yeah.
I also wanted to add to what Bobby just said. Like, if Microsoft does it, it's okay. Now, Bobby, you've heard me on the Infinite podcast, and I have said, any monopoly is bad for the industry.
Yeah.
The fact that we've got Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox, they keep each other in check. If we lose any of them, it's not good for the industry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What were you about to say, Post?
Yeah. I agree. You look at what thinking about with Spider-Man, splitting it up into 3 parts. First part, second part, and then a multiplayer, and they $50 each.
Yeah.
And they know, and I believe they're gonna do it.
I can see it. And I can see the media and their fan base defending it.
Yep. And going for it.
Yep. So that's part of the problem. We can't allow one side to get that much power. It's not good for us as consumers. And that's part of the bigger issue here with Xbox, if this is true. I'll give out my silver lining and my thoughts as to what they could do, and we'll wrap it up. So one of the thoughts that, Danny, you even kind of floated it when you mentioned Game Pass. There is rumor and speculation, and of course we can't just take it at face value, grain of salt of everybody, that allegedly they might have a tiered Game Pass system coming up, where, because if you all have noticed, we still haven't got COD on the platform. We haven't got any ABK games added. As a matter of fact,
No.
that doesn't just happen because of circumstance and coincidence. Clearly, they're doing something and make us wait, right? So we're hearing it might be, at least the rumor is that there might be a tiered system as to us getting some of those titles, and it makes sense. Look how much money COD brings in. I even said as much. I was on Boom's podcast. I said, well, I feel like Microsoft might try to find a way not to put COD on Game Pass because of how much money it generates. And it makes sense. I get that if they didn't do that. But then, because we were looking at, well, they'll bring in subscribers to Game Pass. I don't know if what matters more to them versus the other when it comes to how much money it generates, right? So my thinking is, if this rumor we're hearing, maybe it's just that PlayStation has agreed and Nintendo has agreed. It sounds wild and far-fetched, but maybe they've agreed to bring Game Pass to their platforms, which is a win for everybody. That doesn't hurt Xbox in that case, if that's the truth. So maybe the silver lining could be that Game Pass has been accepted by them. Maybe.
I can't see that.
Can't see it.
I think that would be a lot less of a blow to Xbox, but I also think if Game Pass is on PlayStation, I don't need to buy an Xbox. You know what I mean? Unless it's some kind of other version where their first party titles aren't on it or something, or like it's some, I don't know, like a demo version almost. You know how it's like, oh, you got Hulu with ads. Well, over here we got just regular Hulu.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
because it's
you want the
that
full
works
game
for them. Like if
Get it
that's
on
their
Xbox.
business plan, I guess. Like
Yeah.
go for it. I think we end up in a lot of the same problems where it's like, yeah, if I don't need to buy an Xbox, then I'm not going to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in terms of what you said about the ABK thing, I think I agree with Sheik. What Sheik said in that space. I don't think Microsoft expected that regulatory fight to go 2 years. And it really pushed a lot of what they had planned back. I could see a year. I don't think they expected to fight 2 years to get that deal done. And it took 2 years, and that affected literally them speeding up the process to get APK games into Game Pass, because they couldn't do nothing, especially with how the scrutiny they was getting from the regulators. They couldn't even prep or get Activision to start prepping to do that work. So that's gonna take time. I didn't expect to hear that at the beginning of the year. I expected to hear that about time the E3 showcase came around,
Right.
or a little bit before then. But it also pushed other things back. They missed out on what's the name? What's that? Embracer selling all their studios, and so it's a lot. I still think you got to get. Maybe you don't put the new Call of Duties that's coming out there day and date, but the legacy versions of them, all the ones that's already out and been out from years back, FPS boost, resolution boost, you get them in a service, and maybe the new ones don't be day one. Maybe you have to wait 6 months. Or like you said, you get that tiered version. And they in the past, we've heard that they've been messing with different type of tiers. Also, you still got the family plan,
which we still haven't heard a thing about.
That Phil said they still gonna do that. Does the family plan pricing change from that $25 that we was told to a little bit more?
Yeah, interesting thought. So this is the other thought I would float. When I think about third party and then Microsoft going into that direction, and you all are right. Everything you all said, we all agree. There is no disagreement. I know everybody in the chat agrees. If Microsoft does that, it eliminates the need for Microsoft in the game platforming field, except for it to be the new Sega, right?
Yeah.
What if somehow they could implement Steam and allow us to access Steam as well as our Xbox library? Doesn't that alleviate a lot of the issues that we already have? Because if you notice, you look at the games like Final Fantasy Rebirth, which we just got a demo for, which I have to play. It's not on Xbox, but it's on PlayStation and Steam. Wouldn't we then be able to get that?
You mean like if they allowed it to be playable
on Xbox,
like on a console, not like through a PC or something?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like that would be really cool. I don't know, because I feel like PlayStation could also just like implement. What is happening?
That's me, my bad. Hold on.
I'm sorry, I got jump scared by that. I
my
fully
nieces
jumped.
and nephew, my lady just walked through the door. Give me a second.
I'm sorry.
That was Steam like telling us no.
I was like, what's happening? No, I think that's a really cool thing. I think for sure it is. But I still think you end up with kind of a similar issue. It wouldn't be as, it would definitely be better. It would be a lot better. But then I almost feel like you're just making Steam stronger too. And it's like Steam is already so powerful. They don't need the help, man.
Yeah.
I just want Xbox to do the work to get the third party games that they're missing. I just want them to do that work to get it.
But think about that, right? Because if Microsoft goes that direction, I could see Gabe and team saying, "Hey, why don't we enter into the console platform, area and move into that?" They already have handheld with their Steam Deck. They already have that area. Like we spoke a bit in the green room before, they have a lot of that on lock, and they're ignored when it comes to that, like you pointed out, by the regulators and such.
They are the monopoly of PC space.
If they moved into the gaming space, that would be detrimental to PlayStation, to Xbox even.
It would, 100%.
So maybe one way Microsoft could alleviate that, and to also kind of keep Steam over that way and out of the console space, is to somehow work out a deal to implement Steam into Xbox. To me, I feel like if you do that, you open up the field to so many more games that we don't get access to. And it can enable the keyboard and mouse support for games that are typically used for PC. Assuming this next gen console that they're going to show us is really high end, it's probably going to be like a low end PC or mid gen kind of mid area PC. It allows for so much more when it comes to that, and third party games that we don't get would be possible to get now. Now, Bobby, you mentioned that Final Fantasy Rebirth. You don't think it's on there? Maybe not. I think it's going to be like a 3-month delay before it hits Steam or something like that. But I can wait 3 months. Yeah, I can wait 3 or 6 months. That's fine with me. But it will eventually hit there. You know what I mean, Bobby? So not the best example, but you get what I mean when I say that.
I think you're making a lot of sense, and I really like this idea. I do want Steam on my Xbox. I think that'd be great. My concern becomes that almost just like shifts the monopoly in a different direction. Because let's say that both Xbox and PlayStation put the ability to buy Steam games on their platform, or like allows you to use your Steam library. Then wouldn't you just buy everything through Steam? Because then you could take your game and you could play it on your PC, on your Xbox, on your PlayStation, whatever. Like that becomes that's like your shelf. Like Steam just becomes your bookcase for video games, right?
True.
Then you're not buying things through the Xbox marketplace or the PlayStation marketplace, and Steam becomes even more powerful.
You're right. And because that will undercut their sales, and essentially, right?
Yeah. And I almost also think, because you make a really interesting point with the, like, what if Steam got into making a console, which honestly, I'm surprised they haven't already. I feel like that's just easy money. You just make like a PC basically and just be like, there it is. Like even put keyboard and mouse support on it basically. Like it's honestly weird to me that they haven't done that in hindsight. But I do think if you don't put Steam on consoles, I think it is, we're splitting hairs at this point and it's just entirely rampant speculation. There's no way of knowing. I think that it is slightly more likely that they do make a console if they are invited into the console space, as opposed to if they are not. Because I think in that case, they might see like, oh, there's money to be made. There's gold in them hills. And then they just make their own console. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Steam is definitely like a weird dark horse in all of this, where it's like throwing a hand grenade into the mix. And you're like, I don't know how this is going to work out. But things are changing.
Microsoft and Valve have been talking about this very prospect for a long time now. They've wanted the merging of the Steam and the Xbox marketplace for going on 10 years. I think at the start of the Xbox One generation is the first time I heard it.
Yeah, we did.
So this this isn't anything new. But I did want to pose the question to you, brother. Best case scenario, what do you want coming out of next week? What do you want to hear? So forget silver linings, forget everything we've heard in the background. What do you want Phil Spencer and Microsoft to say to you as a dedicated Xbox fan? You want to hear?
What I want to hear is that what we've been hearing ain't true. Because, again, if that is true, I just don't know how they can survive. And if they can't survive, what then happens to my library of games? What then happens to me as an Xbox gamer? Then I'll have to move on to a different platform. Maybe PC, like my brother Young Kiryu, who got all the flack and fame, of course, because of his receipt that he posted on Twitter that was all featured in articles and videos and all of
was
that.
that him?
That was him.
Oh, Kiryu, no.
Shout out to my brother Kiryu. And
That's fine.
so maybe I might have to go to PC. That's the thing.
I did just buy a new PC is the other thing. Like if Xbox died,
yeah.
I've also already got a PlayStation, so that's easy sale. Like, I don't know. Like literally if Xbox just disintegrated tomorrow, me personally, I would be fine.
Mhm.
It's just like
I'll be pissed, man.
The
I got
concern for
600
me-
digital games there, bro.
yeah, I would definitely lose. I think I would lose like probably $500-$600 worth of digital games because I have bought things digitally, even though I prefer physical because a lot of things are either like on really good sales, and I'm like, well, I can get the It's just like things happen. I'm not as frugal with my money as I would like to be, but
Yeah.
None of us are.
it's just like my concern is less about like, oh no, my Xbox, and is more like, what would that mean for the industry? And I think no matter how you shake it out, a big player being removed from the games industry or even being significantly weakened in the games industry is going to be bad.
Bad for us as consumers, particularly.
Yeah.
So my hope would be, Pete, that it's walked back. Maybe this was true. Let's just say this was true. Because one of the things that's out there now is that after they saw the reaction, maybe they did this on purpose. Maybe they had, not to throw my brother under the bus, but maybe they had Tim Dog to kind of go out there and react this way to gauge reaction from us. And maybe they
I
said,
think there's definitely some truth to that, bro.
yeah.
I think somebody in the inside leaked it when they heard what they didn't want to hear.
Mm-hmm. And I believe that's what Tim had floated out too. That somebody floated it out there because they didn't like the right direction they were going. So maybe it's two things. One or two. Maybe it could be that they had Tim Dog got to kind of put that out there. Well trusted, well known, thousands upon thousands of followers, more than anybody else I know of. Matter of fact, and he's going to get the word out there. People are going to listen, and he'll take that flack and hate on his shoulders, which he's been getting from a lot in the community, unfortunately. And they say, hey, see how the people react to this. And they saw how people have reacted to it. So maybe they saw that and we're going to go that direction and said, okay, let's pivot back to where we were at. Maybe that's the case. Maybe they decided to pivot and walk things back a bit. If so, that's a W for us, right? So I don't know, but I would hope that throughout all the speculation and everything, it was just the thought that it was more crazy than what we initially thought. And it goes back to what we did here, which was just that it was Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be crazy if that's all it was at the end of the day?
I was saying this
it's
from
not
day
impossible.
one, bro. I was saying that from day one, man. I looked up every article I could find, and the only link that I could find was, yes, Hi-Fi Rush, and then there was also something floated on The Verge about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle also going to PlayStation as well, but that was it. And I could not believe the uproar that something as simple as that caused on Twitter. It was insane to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, I think we've exhausted the thoughts on this, and family, we all thank you all for being here tonight with us. I want to ask again if you all could hit the like button before you dip out of here. We want to get a sign out for everybody. Risk It left already. Unfortunately, Tim Dog couldn't join us. Sorry to everybody who probably came to hear our good brother. He has a lot going on, so he just couldn't make it. It is what it is, but we'll try again to get him back. Maybe after we hear what happened. You know what, Matt? Maybe after we,
he's gonna be on everybody's podcast.
Exactly. So maybe we can try to get him another time. But Post, I want to thank you for coming through, brother, and dropping that knowledge and that preaching to us, getting us the good word.
No problem, man. In the Game Pass congregation, it needs me right now, brother, and I will not waver in the hour of need.
Amen, brother. Amen, brother. Where can good folks find? Oh, thank you for being here. Where can the good folks find you, and what would you be up to?
State of Gaming, or post up on YouTube. Post up _SOG on Twitter. Since this probably I don't know. I gotta see. Saturday we're going back live. State of Gaming 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. I'm looking to have Dirt from We Bleed Green on there.
Do
my
it.
brother on level LV1 gaming. Getting him on there, and probably somebody else. We're gonna talk about. We're gonna have the same discussion. I know a lot of people been post when you're gonna go live, so we're gonna probably talk about what everybody else been talking about and our expectations of what we're gonna hear next week. So make sure y'all tune in and follow, like, subscribe, man, and support the content, man. Y'all hit the like button, man. Hit the like button and support this channel. Make sure y'all subscribe to this channel if y'all haven't, man. Support my bro Infinite, man. That's my Chicago home.
No
Thanks
doubt.
for having me, bro.
No doubt. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. You came through in the clutch. You made this show worthwhile, of course, as you always do. And we got to come through and check you and Dirt out. You both the homies, so and nothing but love and respect to you both. Pete, you jumped in and you came in a clutch as well. I know you had a recent situation where you're kind of in pain, but you endured that pain for Xbox. You endured this for us. Where could the good folks find you?
Brother. Dead on Peter everywhere, man. Yeah, it was really good to catch up with you, Post. I haven't spoken to you for a while, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Always good hearing you talk, man. And Daniel, Umbra, man, I talk to you guys all the time. You guys are awesome. I had a lot of fun today. It was good to get back into podcasting. It's been a while for me, so thank you for having me. Thank you, chat. You guys are awesome. Not all doom and gloom, everyone.
Yeah. We got to let go of the doom and gloom. We'll just wait until we get official word. And Danny, my esteemed co-host, where can the good folks find you? Thank you for doing your thing here tonight and preaching the good word. Excellent points is made, of course, as always. Where can the good folks find you, and what will you be up to?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Daniel J. McG or at my personal YouTube channel of Daniel McG. I just posted a video, what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago? It's all a blur. Talking about this exact topic. I go in a lot of depth on it. I went through the whole spectrum of like the absolute worst case scenario and the absolute best case scenario, because that's the entire range of speculation that they've left us in. So I wanted to make sure to cover all of it. So yeah, we're getting real close to 1,000 subscribers over on that channel, which it would mean the world to me to hit by the end of the year, or especially by my birthday in August. So I would love to see some of you guys over there.
Absolutely. Sorry about that. I stepped away for a second. So listen, I'll make sure to add in Pete and Risket's official tags and things like that where you all can find them later. Post is already in there. I'm going to have to remove Tim Dogs for now. And everybody's information will be in the description later on tonight or before I post it again. Thank you all for being here. We're going to get out of here. I hope you all have a good night, and we will see everybody next week once we get this information revealed to us. Keep your fingers crossed, and let's hope they don't make the mistake we thought they were going to make. See you, everybody.
Peace.
Adios.